story about how you ran into Lena Waite and told her how much you liked her. Why did you do that?
I just liked her. I saw it. She came to the Get Up screening, the Chance the Rapper screening, and then I think she was in Master of None, and The Shy hadn't come out yet, but I read the pilot of The Shy, and I always thought, oh, she's amazing. She's an amazing writer. And then when I think someone's amazing, I just tell them, and then yeah, so that's kind of how that is.
So that kind of worked out.
Yeah, it kind of did. Yeah, did the.
She sent you the script for Queen and Slim, and you were on your way. I loved that movie. I'd never seen anything like it before, which is sort of what it's all about right now.
Yeah.
Is getting some other stories out there that are different from the ones we've all seen before. And this one is too. Here in America, I don't even think most people are taught about Fred Hampton in school. Honestly, the Black Panthers are not like front and center on everybody's reading list. How about in Britain when you were growing up? Is that something you were taught in school?
No, I think I saw a piece of paper in my childhood home over Christmas, and I saw that there was like a civil rights like history paper, and then it was like all the civil rights checkpoints were there, and then the Black Panther Party. I had written it down, and it was like the littlest font. So that was interesting, but no, I can't really remember them speaking about. I think they kind of in passing, they would speak about the Black Panther Party in
So
school.
so when you first, how did you first find out about this project? How did it first come your way?
Ryan Coogler and Zinzi Coogler pulled me to the side during a Black Panther reshoot and spoke to me about this project, about the film, about who's part of it, about Lakeith and Shaka, and the intention and the reason for them wanting to get made, and them wanting me to play chairman. And I just felt it was a huge honor. And then they sent me a 2-page treatment. And I met Shaka. And I thought it was amazing to meet Shaka. Then I heard who he wanted for the other parts, and that got me even more excited. And I read the script, and I was like, this is amazing.
When you read the script, did the power of the speeches, because I was looking at some of the script pages, it's on the page, the rhythms of the way he spoke, which is so much a part of how that the oratory, the poetry of the way that he spoke. How did you get into that and dig into that?
There's a man called a capitalist. No matter what color he is, black, white, brown, red, don't matter. Because the capitalist has one goal, and that is to exploit the people. He can have on a 3-piece suit or a dashiki, because political power doesn't flow from the sleeve of a dashiki. Political power flows from the barrel of a gun.
I've read a lot around the Black Panther Party. I read the Black Panther reading list, majority of the books on that, because you need 6 weeks of political education before you become a fully fledged Panther. And then I kind of, on a technical standpoint, I kind of saw that, I was like, oh wow, at some points of this film, I'm in a play and everyone else is in a film, in terms of the demands of my voice and my vocal cords. And I'd have to be very careful about injuring myself and hurting myself whilst doing these big speeches all day. So I went to opera classes. I went with an opera teacher, and I would sing gospel songs and songs that felt like the attitude of what the speeches were, which is like a lot of James Brown. And then I would do the speeches in order to find the cadence, because what I kind of realized how it felt for me is that the speeches were a talking version of singing as opposed to a singing version of talking. And so I was like, oh, okay, it's a tune, it's a song. That's what is really, I feel, that was resonating with me when watching them back. It was that, like, it was a song, but it was like, it was had an aesthetic of talking. And I just broke down every speech, and then I just gave all. You know what I'm saying? I just went on the day of the speeches. I just had to go, okay, there is some hesitation, there's some anxiety, but who cares? Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And there's like, but then, yeah, the opera classes really helped me explore my instrument and kind of like really occupy my diaphragm, really occupy the space I'm in.
I'm always fascinated by this because you never want to imitate someone, and yet you want to know how they spoke. So you have a real accent to nail down there as well while you're doing all of this, different from your own. How did you have to work with a vocal coach to nail down the accent?
Yeah, this amazing dialect coach, Audrey Lacrone, and we just studied his voice, studied his speech pattern, studied his cadence, studied his how he says certain words. Is like there's not really a lot of people that speak like him. And so we would do sessions. I would record the sessions, transfer it into audio, then go to the gym and listen to the sessions back, and then I would correct where, like, say if I was having a block, I would, like, because I was out of it and I was listening to it, I can hear where the block was, and then in the next session I've developed. And so I did it in it was that kind of process. And then we just kind of speaking around the accent and where it comes from, and then all the kind of different kind of places that his accent comes from, and it's like, because his mom's from the South and this and that, so it's a lot of like sounds that wouldn't be going to be seen
Chicago,
in are within his accent.
Fascinating. So you went to Chicago too, and sort of immersed yourself in that world a little bit.
I went to Chicago. Because I really wanted to meet the family, and so I was like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna go. And I went, and I was just there, and I was just telling them, listen, I'm really open to see you. I couldn't see them on that trip, but then I was blessed enough to go around the city and go to his childhood home, go to the family home, go to his elementary school, go to his high school, go to where he used to speak to people around there, speak to people about the history of Maywood and how what Maywood felt at that time, from people that knew people from that time. And I just kind of immersed myself, read dissertations whilst there. So I'd have a whole day speaking to people and then read about the time as well. So it was kind of like not reading the time in a vacuum, And so it was a kind of whole immersive space.
So did you get to meet Fred Hampton Jr.?
Yes, we did. It was, I think, a couple of weeks later. Me, Dominique, Ryan, Shaka, Charles, Niger, Will Burson, the co-writer, we all went and sat down, and it was a long meeting. It was like 7-8 hours.
Wow.
Us sitting down with Mama Akua, who's Deborah Johnson, and we just sat down and we spoke about our intentions. Why are we telling the story? Why do we make art? They wanted to know us. They wanted to know who we were and how we expressed ourselves, and meet us, and rightly so. They wanted to know who we were.
So when you did the actual shooting of the big I'm a revolutionary speech, which seems to be the thing that just affects all of us so much. It just kills you. It gets you. What were you going through in that space with all the people in the room, with the noise, what was it like for you to make that speech on the day?
I'm free, y'all. I need everybody to repeat after me. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary.
It's the only way to say it. It was just an out-of-body experience. I don't feel like I watch it back and I don't remember the takes. I don't remember the takes of anything I did in this film. I don't remember. I think it was just like a really transcendent kind of like, it was like Chairman Fred was speaking through me, and it was the first speech where we said his actual words. So this is what he actually said, and there was 450 people in the audience, and they were just incredible. It was like they were the scene partner, and it was still like talking and listening, but it's with a group of people, which is a great metaphor for his Chairman Fred's values. You know what I'm saying? And him giving power to the people. And in that moment, it especially there were certain takes that I was just exhausted, and they really lifted me up. They really said, yo, keep going, you got this, keep going. And then I kept going because I was losing my voice. And then I kept going, I kept at it. And then like you walk away and go, yeah, well done, Fred. And it was like, they weren't calling me Daniel, they're calling me Fred. So it was a very, very special day. And I just stayed in the zone, just stayed in it, didn't really speak to anyone that day. And just stayed in that place and just gave all that I could to channel and vessel that spirit.
But the other question I had was how much how angry the Black Panthers have always been portrayed as, and there was so much goodness and messianic fervor in Fred Hampton, and he was so young. How did all of that sophisticated, intelligent passion, where did it come from at that age, at that young age, and that extraordinary rhetorical ability?
There's over 5,000 crowns in Chicago. Between your manpower and the Panthers' political platform, we can heal this whole city.
I think there's a deep love for his own, a deep love for people. Love can make you do incredible things. And with him, I just feel like he cared. He cared about awakening people that were being crushed in their sleep. And he really did read, and you know, he read, and he had original ideas and original thoughts about what he read. You know, he wasn't taking on or inheriting any attitudes or ideas that were already in the world before his existence. And then he built upon those original ideas and created original concepts and original strategies in order to help people that looked like him and help people that didn't look like him, you know, which with the Rainbow Coalition, the Young Patriots and the Young Lords, and uniting those people and understanding that there's common ground. It doesn't, just because they disagree doesn't mean there's not understanding. And so he was able to piece that all together. And you can do incredible things if you love, you know, if you care. And I think he did.
That's what makes it so extraordinarily tragic that he was cut down so young. He was 21 years old in 1969. He could have done so many things. It's heartbreaking. But he was, you know, his girlfriend was pregnant with his son and carried on, Deborah Johnson.
Yeah.
What was it like to meet her? What was she like?
She's incredible. She's direct, you know, and she listens and she knows and she's seen it all. And it was so incredible to have her part of the process. And like, I would always take her words of encouragement, like before we started shooting and during and after, like really dear to me. Because she saw it. She was one of the people that was around that, who saw everything that we were doing. You know, a lot of people were like new people who saw it, and she was there.
She was there. Wow.
And so it was just as an energy and spirit, it was invaluable and just completely necessary to have her involved.
Yeah. So obviously, we are in a time where the FBI and Black Lives Matter and the assault on the Capitol, there's just so much stuff going on here. On your side of the pond too, you know, it's pretty crazy. Did you have any idea that this movie would end up being quite as resonant as it is when you were making it? Or does it always seem to turn out that way? Get Out really, you know, kind of hit a nerve around the world too.
It just happened. You know, you don't think of it like that. You just feel like this. We just want to serve this story, and we want this story to be out there. And it's not only the story to be out there. The story to be out there from our perspective. You know what I'm saying? A perspective that really sees the Panthers, that really sees the goodness and the love that they had for their own community and their own, and wanting that out there. And then the world just happens, you know? It's just like, if you tell the truth, and then it just happened. It was supposed to come out in August, you know, and then because of the pandemic, and it just one of those things.
And now you're in the awards conversation again.
Yeah.
How did that happen? And also, congrats on the AFI. That was announced this morning.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
That's a big deal. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Cheers. Yeah, it's really cool.
So how do you feel about the theatrical combo with HBO Max? Does that bug you, bother you, or is it okay?
I want people to see it. I mean, it's a shame that I do feel this is a film that I always imagine it as a communal experience. You know, the world that we live in is the world that we live in, and I just want people to be able to access it.
So the other thing that happened today, this arrived on my doorstep.
Yeah, my mum wanted one. My mum wants one. My mum wants one. I haven't got. Yeah, I need to get that.
And so and it talks about this relationship with Lakeith Stanfield, which you guys are like, you know, best buddies. I didn't know that, as you know, because of Get Out and because of time you spent in Atlanta. So you had each other's backs on this. You could help each other out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of experiences that we've shared. We did a performance at Carnegie Hall and stayed in the same dressing room. It was this charity performance for South African kids. And it's like the past few years, we just always been in, like, why are we in the same dressing room? There was like loads of actors, both me and Keith in the same dressing room. It was like, this is kind of like, it's good to have someone on the same journey, on the same path as you, and that kind of sees the world the way you see it because of the experiences. And it's great to have someone to talk to about that.
So the other question is, how, now that you've, you know, broken out and you've had, you know, a lot of studio experience and people are seeking you out, you have what they call bankability and confidence in what you can do. You have a lot of things coming your way. Has it changed a lot in terms of the volume and the quality of the material you're being offered? And how are you choosing your projects now? What is important to you?
I wouldn't say it's changed. I'm not really aware. Like, I don't process it like that. It's just kind of like I just live my life, and then whatever makes sense and arrives to me in an organic way, then I go, okay, let's go that way. It's kind of like a lot of projects have just come to me from, like, you talk about Lena. I didn't speak to her because I'm like, you must have a script. You know, it was before she won the Emmys, before all that. I just spoke to her as a real person, and I was just like, I think you're amazing. Like, and with Ryan at Black Panther, and then I did Black Panther, and I did Black Panther because he saw me in a short film in like 2010 or 2009. And then like Widows, Steve saw me in a play in 2010. So it was just like, it's just kind of like I do work and then it put out there and then it ripples, you know. Jordan saw me in Black Mirror when I did that in 2011. It's just one of those kind of like things just happen. And I think stuff is coming through, and I'm really blessed to have a lot of options and just kind of listen to what feels honest.
So what is this Netflix thing that you're going to do? This looks interesting to me. It's called The Upper World.
Yeah.
And it's based on a book, and it might be a series, a sci-fi project. Yeah. Talk about that.
It's an amazing book about quantum physics in London. At the beginning of the pandemic, I started reading a lot about quantum physics randomly, and then this book came through, and a lot of people were hitting me up about it, and I was like, wow. And it was just like, I'd never seen Black London portrayed in this way in terms of genre, and I just was so excited. And then the author Femi Fagbuna is just an incredible person, an incredible mind, and we just hit it off, and then we're developing that at the moment.
So it sounds like you're a writer. You did some work. You've done a lot of writing along the way. Is that something you're going to continue to do as well?
Yeah, I've got a feature film that I've written that I wrote. I went to Sundance Screenwriters Lab just before I shot Get Out, and then so I've been writing all through that process, and it's still being kind of honed at this moment. And yeah, I just, you know, whatever the idea needs, Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I used to write on skins when I was
Right.
like 17, 18, 19. And so I just kind of, I think like that, I started writing and then I got into acting. So it's kind of like, yeah, let's just go with the flow. I don't kind of go, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, what does this want? All right, cool, let's just go that way, you know, and then figure out how to make it happen, how to execute the idea.
And you told one of our writers here at IndieWire that you wanted to do comedy as well.
Yeah. I did a lot of comedy in England. I did I loved it. My role in Skins was comedic. I did a TV show called Psychoville, which was by Steve Pemberton, Reece Shearsmith, FM, and with Chris O'Dowd, and yeah, I did a number of comedy shows back in the day, and I just love. I want to make films that are joyful. I think that's one of the hardest things to do in cinema, and there's the stuff I watch the most. If I'm being honest, like when you're at Christmas, you're gonna watch the joyful film. Like just then, I'm like this Christmas, all I did was watch Spider-Verse, you know, on repeat. Just then, it's just like I want to be able to do that. I want that. I really want that. Like I watch When Harry Met Sally a lot during the pandemic as well. Like something like that, a rom-com or a joyful experience would be amazing.
So when you work with Shaka King and the writers, Bill Burson, were you involved in the script development at all, or do you just take the word as it comes to you? How much do you get close to the words that are going to be on the final page?
Yeah, I do get close as much as I give notes. I give thoughts and ideas. I give like just documents on the script, and then I have chats with Shaka and go back and forth about it, and then you know he responds to the notes and thoughts that I have. For me, it's just like it's kind of like I know how difficult it is when I kind of see sometimes as writing as like being a groundsman for a big stadium, but you're cutting the grass with scissors, blade by blade, and someone asks you, how does it look? You're like, oh no, this is even. You know what I'm saying? And you sometimes need someone at the top of the stand to go, no, you're good, you know? And that's sometimes when I join a process, it's kind of being that person. It's got, that you cut that scene. I really love those lines in that scene. I think it really, and then it'll come back in. You know, it's just stuff like that. It's not like I respect their process, but it's kind of like wanting to help.
Well, I think the script was really good and very strong, and that's how you were able to pull off such an accomplished movie and a challenging, difficult one. There are a lot of big scenes and extras and lots of characters running around. Like one of the scenes that I thought was really amazing was in the offices of the Black Panther Illinois chapter, where you have just so many people running around with all this action, and Shaka really delivered it. Talk about working with him.
That's what I felt like when I watched Newlyweds and I read the script. I think I had this moment when I realized they figured it out. They've done the work. Whatever, like there's I think with creatives in any medium, there's a point where they've done the work, and usually the work is that they figured themselves out. They figured their voice out. They figured their taste, their style. And that's what I felt. So I was really confident in his ability to pull off how tricky this film is in terms of like the number of characters and this and everything is that because of the level of thought and detail that was in the script. And he was completely so collaborative. He's definitely of the school of thought that the best idea wins. And he was just really clear and calm and knew what to keep, you know, knew what to fight for and knew what to protect, but very at peace with letting things go if it doesn't make sense, you know, like certain scenes that we had difficulty with. There was a scene when we meet the gangs in their headquarters, and that scene wasn't really gelling. It wasn't really clicking. And I have this thing: if the scene doesn't make sense, it's hard for me to remember the lines. I was dropping these lines. It was like all these like 50, 80 extras, and I was just dropping these lines in front of everyone, and then like just had to kind of firm it. And then, but then I realized that like there's something that doesn't make sense about this. There's like the emotional through line of this doesn't make sense, so I can't get there. And me in a lunch break, me and Shaka sat down and we kind of honed it, and then we created the scene that changed a few lines, and it's the lines that are in the film. It's just like it's like we didn't have a lot of time. We literally had like an hour of lunch to make it work. And he's incredible enough you can create in that way, with those time pressures, and make it and get over the line.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time with me. It was a pleasure to get to know you a little bit, and I look forward to meeting you in person one day.
One day.